Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Gainesville Tuesday meeting at the Cade Museum. Please remember to silence your cell phones, and for those of you watching at home on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Sims to lead us in song and pledge.
Please turn your applause to Gordon Hubble, our maestro here, for the nice piano playing. And join me today in America. Maestro. My country too. Thank you. And join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For our invocation today, Ernie Hall.
Thank you. And first I do thank you for the club that this weekend is a Rotary bell ringing day out at the Millhopper Public. So who signed up for that. It's always a great opportunity to get out and help support those in need. Every dollar you raise is 100% for this community, and we appreciate you very much. So I do need to say thank you for what you'll do for the Salvation Army this weekend. It's on a sad note that we mentioned the passing of George Mazzio, who's been a longtime member of this club. The service is going to be held on Thursday at 10 a.m. at Queen of Peace Church. And certainly I'm sure the family would love to see some Rotarians out there supporting the family. With that, let's go to prayer. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your loving care on each and every one of us. Just now we seek your blessing and your care on the Mazzio family. It's always tragic to lose a loved one, particularly around the holidays. And Lord, we just ask that your comfort surround that family with your love. We thank you for this club, their dedication to service and community. And Lord, we just ask that you would bless us today. Bless this food that's been prepared, and bless us to your service. Amen.
We invite any guests and traveling Rotarians to remain standing so you can introduce yourselves to our club.
Hello, I'm Paula Fussell, retired from the University of Florida.
And she's terrific.
I am Parker Lawrence, and this is my fraternity brother, Steve Kaufman. He's a Gator, and he's been up in New York, though, for some 40 years or so, something a long time with Praxair, and he was in management with Praxair.
Thank you both for joining us today. We have quite a few announcements today from our club. Up first, Brendan Shortley.
All right, everybody, if you look at your tables, you'll see a blue flyer and letter. Every year around this time, we raise money for the Helping Hands Clinic. This is one of the ones that Grateful Rotarians support, and earlier in the year. Ryan was kind enough to let me just make a quick announcement that every year around this time, we do our fundraising drive, where everything you give is doubled. And this is where we think about local missions versus over the seas mission, with both of which are important. A lot of really needy people here at home, and I hope you will consider them. We've done studies. The amount that we do with the little that we get, all is, for every dollar, is incredible. No overhead is paid for with your donation. It goes straight to the patients for the medications. All the things we do, the clothing, the food, is all donated, so you don't even pay for that. This is just to keep us alive, and we'd appreciate your efforts, and God bless. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Patrick Dodds with Bread of the Mighty, and wanted to announce as we continue our Grateful Rotarians drive to benefit Bread of the Mighty, we're going to be doing this through the second week in January because, as you all know, the importance of supporting the community goes beyond just the holiday season. I think that's embodied more than ever here with this group. I wanted to talk a little bit about the work that we do and the benefit that your funds will have on community members. So the way Bread of the Mighty operates is we get free food out to community members in need, no questions asked. That food we pick up from every major grocery store, every Publix, Walmart, Winn-Dixie, Target, Aldi's, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, 7 days a week. And we do that to the tune of about 6.5 million pounds every single year. So that's 25,000 pounds a day that our team is getting in the doors and out the doors and into the hands of community members, without any qualifications, any eligibility. You show up, you're gonna walk away with food. And I think it's so critical because food is the one thing that transcends all socioeconomic, cultural, religious backgrounds, right? At the end of the day, we're all gonna do two things. We're gonna sleep and we're gonna eat. And the eating part is so critical, right? It's important that children are well fed before they spend the day at school. It's important that they're eating before they go to bed at night so they can get a good rest. It's important that families can sit down together and break bread and share what they've done during the day. So every dollar that you donate to the food bank, we can turn that into 7.2 pounds of food for the community, which is why we've turned this into a fund drive versus a food drive, right? So every dollar that we donate, we can turn into 7.2 pounds or 6 meals. That's $1 equals 6 meals for the community. So our goal this year is to provide 50,000 meals through the Rotary Group. 50,000 meals. And that's a relatively, easy to achieve goal. It's $8,500. We're lucky enough that we've been blessed by our Rotary members, John Cousins and Kathy Pierce, who have both given $1,000 to match the donations that will be coming in through this group. So again, we're going to be doing this through the second week in January. You'll see me here at every meeting collecting. You can also see on your tables, you have this flyer with a QR code. You scan this code, it'll take you directly to the Gainesville or the Bread of the Mighty Rotary of Gainesville page where you can donate and it'll be earmarked. And if you have any questions, and I also invite you guys to come down to the food bank if you guys would like a tour to show you the work that we do and the impact we have on the community. So thank you all so much.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. I just want to remind everybody that next week is our holiday meeting on Tuesday, and we will be having a holiday-themed menu, as well as Eastside High School is going to be setting up a s'mores bar, so everybody can be creative and make their own s'mores, and we'll have some fun holiday music as well. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Who else planning to bring their spouse or friend or someone else or guests? Raise your hand. 3, 4. Good, great. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Two observations. One is that it's Christmas time, and the other is that Gordon is with us. Yeah. So what does that mean? What does that translate to? Well, it means that we're going to have another Christmas party. How many people have gone to Gordon's house for Christmas sing-along? There we go. Well, we're going to do it again on the 19th, which is a week from this Thursday, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. And it's going to be at Gordon's house, just like always, at from, 5:30 to 8, something like that. We will have food. We will have adult beverages. We may have child beverages, but maybe not. But anyway, so it's next week. And I know they haven't planned on it, but a lot of people have already attended this. Could you raise your hand if you've been to one of these before? Yeah, there you go. So, and we're going to sing Christmas carols and have fellowship, and it's going to be great. Next Thursday, 5:30 to 8 at Gordon's house.
Thank you all. And now, please welcome Jay Nordquist, who's going to work through our Board of Directors voting for next year.
Fellow Rotarians, just when you thought that the election season was over, right? Here you are again. Somewhere hidden on your tables are the ballots. So if you would take one of those ballots and fill it out. If you can select 5 board members, that would be great. If you're on Zoom, and you can see the pictures of all of the nominees that are up here on the screen, if you're interested in taking a look at who they are. And if you're on Zoom, you're also going to be able to vote. So you'll see something pop up on the screen. I think we're going to see it here in a minute as well. Once that pops up on the screen, you'll have the opportunity to vote for 5 people, and then go ahead and hit submit. Now, after I sit down, about a minute after that, after I sit down and leave the podium, that thing will disappear. So if you don't vote by the time I'm standing up here or within a minute of me leaving, well, you've lost your opportunity. So, and also for those Zoomers that are out there, only Rotarians can vote. So we want to make sure that the Rotarians are voting. What we're going to do is with the votes online will be tallied. They're anonymous, and we'll get a total at the end of the online voting. And then also for all of the votes that are taken in here, please put them in the center of your table. Just fold them over once, put them in the center. And we'll have our nominating committee, which is David Gracie, Jacob Atem, and John Thomas, and then we have Ryan Thompson. I don't think we're going to make Ryan get up, but we'll go walk around and collect all of the ballots. We will go ahead after the meeting, and then we're going to go ahead and count all the ballots, and we will announce the results at the January 7th meeting. So are there any questions? Vote once, not often, like Matthew Brady said. Thank you very much.
And now please join me in welcoming our president, Ryan Thompson.
Well, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Welcome guests. Had a great time out Saturday morning, thanks to Greg rallying a few of us to go out to Dudley Farms for their cane boil. Had a really good time. The auction last week, I think that was remarkable. You know, again, I applaud all of our members that were involved in that. And I believe, Richard, if I'm not wrong, that may have been a record-setting year. Am I correct? I am. All right. Wonderful, wonderful. So January 18th, our district is hosting another Rotary Learning Institute in Jacksonville. So they'll have classes 1, 2, and 3, as well as the graduate course on facilitation techniques and a new one, at least new in my observation, transforming your club, which I think would be pretty cool. So that's January 18th in Jacksonville. It's $100. And it may be possible, I've got to take a look at the budget, but it may be possible to get reimbursed for that. And then the board of directors met last night. Just really quickly, there are a considerable number of members and members that attend on a regular basis that are past due for 31 to 60 days. If you think that's you, just let me know. Come to me. I can look it up really quick and let you know. Just want to make sure that everybody's, in the black. So I appreciate all of your help on that. And if you don't remember last time you saw a bill, that could be a sign that you need to come see me. So today's speaker is Dorothy Thomas with the Southwest Advocacy Group and Child Center for Early Learning. I'm really excited to have Dorothy here with us today. She's a graduate from Warford College in 1996. She received her JD from the University of North Carolina in 2001. After law school, Dorothy moved to New York City, where she practiced law. In 2010, she and her husband, Scott, and their 2 children relocated to Gainesville. Dorothy is very involved in the Southwest Advocacy Group, a group that serves an under-resourced area of Gainesville that we're all very familiar with, thanks in large part to Nancy Hart and her work. As part of her work with that organization, she serves on the board of directors and has been actively involved in the programs housed in the group's SWAG Family Resource Center and the Southwest Health Clinic. As an outreach of her work with SWAG, Dorothy was the founder of a second nonprofit, the Child Center for Early Learning, which opened in 2018 and provides early learning and family support to low-income young children and their families, as well as professional development to early learning professionals. Dorothy currently serves as the chair of the board of directors for the Child Center. In 2016, she was involved in the campaign for the Children's Trust of Alachua County. Dorothy is also a member of the board of directors for the Community Foundation of North Central Florida. It's a busy lady. If that's not enough, she's also active in both her children's schools and many other community projects around Gainesville. Help me welcome Dorothy.
Hi. Can you guys hear me okay? Is this the right height? Good? Okay, so first of all, I'm sorry that I sound so horrible. I've been sick for like weeks and weeks, and I feel like I sound like an 80-year-old smoker. So apologies for that. If I'm hacking, I'll try to step away from the microphone. So I want to kind of start by getting a sense as to how familiar all of you are with SWAG. Some of you are so familiar that you could probably get up and do this talk instead of me, and others may not have heard of us at all. So how many people have actually done a project with or been involved with something physically on the campus at SWAG? Quite a few of you. How many of you know a little bit about SWAG, but not kind of the full deal? Okay, how many of you know nothing about SWAG? Few of you. So for those of you that know it all, I apologize. You might have to hear a little bit of it again. So I think we have a PowerPoint. Oh, whoops. Yeah, okay. I'm not good with PowerPoint, so you'll have to bear with me. So as Ryan said, SWAG really got its start thanks to the brainchild of Nancy Hart. So Nancy, as you guys all know, is a self-proclaimed data nerd, and she was tracking indicators of poverty around maternal health. And when she did that, she started to see data show up in kind of an area that people didn't expect it, which now is known as the SWAG neighborhoods, but back then nobody knew anything about. This was back in like 2008. And so Nancy took her data and instead of mapping it by zip code, which is how it had been historically mapped, she mapped it by address and census block. And when she did that, she found that there were high areas of poverty in Southwest Gainesville in the 32607 zip code, which is pretty much the border of Hale Plantation. And people were surprised to see this because they thought it was a mostly affluent part of town. And Nancy did a little more digging, and she realized that her data matched data from the sheriff's office and from many other places that were concerned with things related to child advocacy or child welfare and crime rates and poverty. And so Nancy and some others wrote some editorials and started chit-chatting about this issue that they were seeing. And that really set in motion a storm of things that happened that ultimately culminated with SWAG being formed. Probably the most important thing that Nancy's initial conversation started was it caught the attention of a lady by the name of Joan Canton. Joan Canton was a lady who lived in the SWAG neighborhoods. She had lived there for decades. She was a social worker by training. She had raised her kids. They'd lived in Brooklyn, and then they moved to Gainesville, and she retired to a little house in Linton Oaks with her husband. And Joan kind of had this way about her that she drew everybody from the community in that needed help. And so Joan used kind of her background and her training to start to help young moms with kids that were struggling or families that maybe didn't have enough food or all these different resources. And she really began to build a network within the SWAG community of herself and other people like her that cared about kind of the younger generation and people who were maybe lacking some of the resources. And what was happening in the SWAG neighborhood at this time, I don't know if you guys know this, but at one point the SWAG neighborhood used to be all student housing. And somewhere along the way, I think in the like 1980, end of the 1980s, early 1990s, UF started its big construction boom, building more student housing closer to campus. And so all the folks that used to live in the SWAG area moved closer to campus because it was easier for them to commute. And when they did, they left that area vacant. And so in order to fill those apartments, the landlords in that area started taking Section 8 housing vouchers, and some HUD housing came in. And so around that same time, and I don't remember the exact date, but in that same area, places like Kennedy Homes had closed. And so lower income individuals were looking for places that they could live with their Section 8 vouchers or any other sort of housing assistance. And so there was a big population migration from historically underserved East Gainesville to this little enclave in Southwest Gainesville. And so when all the people came, unfortunately, the services did not come with them. And so we had a large number of people, there's probably close to 5,000 people in the SWAG community right now, a large number of people that really needed extra resources that couldn't get to them because all the resources were located on the historically under-resourced side of East Gainesville where people thought that those services were needed, but there was nothing close to the SWAG community. And so Nancy's data started this conversation about how to help these neighborhoods and the families in these neighborhoods really access what they needed. And Joan showed up at one of these meetings and said, "Hi, I'm here. I just wanted to see what you were going to say about my neighborhood because I'm not sure if you know what you're talking about." And so Joan really became the first person. This was back way before nonprofits really included the neighborhoods that they were serving in their planning. They didn't think about what the folks that were actually living the lives that we were talking about had to say. And so Joan said, if you guys want to help our neighborhood, y'all all need to sit down and shut up and listen to what our neighbors say. And so Joan started convening these meetings within the community to talk about what people thought they needed for their families. And they set forth a kind of a vision of 3 parts. There was access to resources, access to health care, and programming for children and childcare. And those 3 things really became the 3 legs of the SWAG stool. And so fast forward through all the different years, SWAG has really created 3 separate primary areas where all of our resources flow through. And it's certainly not alone. We have amazing partners that do all of these things with us. But I was just going to kind of talk you through the 3 main points of contact that SWAG has and tell you a little bit about what we've got going on. And then honestly, I stole some of these slides from another Rotary PowerPoint because I know education is one of the things that you focus on in Rotary. And so I want to focus a little bit specifically on education because I think that is really an important focus of where Rotary's mission and our mission overlap. So, as you can see from the picture, we have 3 main posts in the SWAG community. The first is our SWAG Family Resource Center, which provides services from people 0 to 100, any type of resource that you could imagine. So think of everything that low-income families might need. Sometimes it's food, sometimes it's clothing, sometimes it's help looking for a job. Maybe it's housing assistance, maybe it's utility assistance, maybe it is after-school programming or tutoring for their kids. All of those kind of things happen at the SWAG Family Resource Center. Our concept is that we are not a handout place, we are a hand-up place. And so anytime a family comes into the resource center, so say you show up and you need food from the food pantry, we're more than happy to sit down with you and get you some food and make sure that you've got food for the week or the month. But rather than just having you take the food and then we'll see you later and you show back up in 5 weeks or whatever and you need more food, what we try and do is sit down and have a conversation with the folks that come through our doors and say, hey, we know that you're struggling for food. Let's talk about what's going on in your life. And then maybe we find you're caring for a sick mom, or maybe your kids are really struggling in school, or maybe your living environment isn't safe, or whatever the things that are going on in your life. Or maybe you have something really positive and you're trying to put all your money to, I don't know, getting a certification so you can get a better job. Whatever those things are, we don't want to just give you food. We want to sit down with you and figure out your life circumstances so that we can help you empower yourself to be better at whatever it is that you're doing and make your life more sustainable. So that is the Resource Center. Right next to that, you see a slide for the Southwest Health Clinic. It's probably what you would expect that a Southwest Health Clinic is. We have medical services. I guess before I move on to the clinic, I should have said the most important thing about the Resource Center. Our operating partner there is Partnership for Strong Families, and Partnership for Strong Families is a huge part of our mission. Their goal is to help keep kids out of the care system, for issues of abuse or neglect. And so they are the ones who provide the staff every day, boots on the ground people to run the center. And we also receive a lot of funding. This is a new partnership within the last year from the Children's Trust to help expand that staff and the programming of how we can help children in the Resource Center. So that is a big part of that I should not have left out, especially since Marcia's sitting here from the Children's Trust. She would have thrown something at me. I looked up and I was like, oh, there's Marcia. I better get back to that. And so we're very grateful to both Partnership and the Children's Trust for that. So then moving on to the Southwest Health Clinic. So our partner there is the Alachua County Health Department. So this is an outpost of what happens at the main health department. So pretty much all of the services that you can receive at the health department, you can also receive at the Southwest Health Clinic. So we have medical services. There's a couple days a week we have a doctor there. There's a couple days a week we have a nurse practitioner there. There's a WIC office there, and there's a dental program that is also a couple days a week. And so people from the community can access various medical services that they would be able to access at the main health department, but instead of having to take 3 buses to get there, they can access them at the clinic that's right across the street from our Resource Center. And then the third place is the Child Center. And I'm going to get to the Child Center in more detail in a minute, but the Child Center, again, is what you might expect. We have an early learning program for 53 kids and their families, and we have a ton of partners that we work with there to really provide high quality education, but also parent engagement to all of the families that are involved. So now I have some pictures. Again, I'm bad at slideshows because I forget what I put in the slideshows, so I'm probably going to repeat what I have. So there's a picture of our parking lot at the Swag Family Resource Center. That, I believe, is a health fair that we have going on. Or maybe that was an education fair, because I think that's a Lynx bookstore has a tent there. So every program that we have, so for example, we do a back to school event each year for our students, rather than just having us hand out pencils and pens and paper and backpacks and all of that stuff. We have the schools come participate in that so that families can meet their principal or their guidance counselor or whoever, so that there's a positive relationship from the get-go on the school year, because a lot of our families don't feel comfortable, going into the schools, or maybe they don't feel welcomed. And so we're always trying to build those positive relationships and supports within our family and within our community. There's the picture of the front door of the health clinic. I think I've already said everything I need to say about the health clinic. And then this is our Child Center for Early Learning. The Child Center, like I said, it's a complicated network of a lot of different partners. So what we do at the Child Center, we have, like I said, 53 children. We have 8 one-ish-year-olds. We have 8 2-year-olds. We have 17 3-year-olds, and we have 20 4-year-olds. It's a lot of kids in a little tiny building. What we try and do with our kids is we want to make the education that we provide. We know that the most important part of your brain formation happens in those early years. And so every interaction we have with a child, whether we're teaching 1, 2, 3s, or we're teaching you to sit beside your neighbor without, pushing them off the rug, or trying to learn what your emotions are, like what it means to be happy, or what it means to be scared, or what it means to be frustrated. All of those interactions, no matter how formal or informally you have them with a child, is going to change the way their brain develops. It's going to build those connections. And so we want to have the most positive experience in those children's life that we possibly can. We also want the care that we provide to be very culturally relevant. We want it to relate to the kids on their daily life. We want it to have traditions that their families have. We want to bring in whatever is important in their outside life into our Child Center. And so we try really hard to be flexible and to be innovative and to listen to our families to understand what's important to them, so that our educational process reflects what our families are telling us. In addition to that, one of the things that we know from tons and tons of research, is one of the most important things you can do for a child in their early years is to engage their parent and empower their parent to be part of their educational journey. We have the kids for some kids 7 or 8 hours a day, some kids 12 hours a day. But at the end of the day, they go home to their family. And what's happening in their family is more important than anything that we can do at the Child Center. And so we have both formal and informal opportunities to engage the parents in what we do at the Child Center. Some of the formal things are things like parent engagement classes. So we have classes on pretty much any topic under the sun. We do potty training, we do nutrition, we do teachable moments, so that when you're driving or walking through the grocery store, you can talk to your kid about the 7 round yellow lemons you see and compare those to the 4 blue Gatorade bottles that you see, and talk about those type of things that you see in the world around you, to teach a parent, like, conversation, serve and return is so important. So when you're changing your 1-year-old's diaper and you're laying them on the changing table, don't just change the diaper and move on about your business. Talk to your child. Your child can't talk back yet, but your child can understand what you're saying. They can understand that connection. They can begin to process all of those things in their brain. And not all parents know this, because not all parents had those relationships with their parents. So that is a very important part of what we do. We also try and invite our families into the classrooms. One of the best ways to teach families how to engage with their children is by watching the teachers do it. Those teachers are far better at all the parenting skills than I ever was. And when they sit down and read a book to the kids in the classroom, they don't just like flip through the pages and try and get to bedtime like I remember doing when my kid was 4. They open the book and they say, "Oh, look at this dinosaur. What color is it? What do you think that dinosaur might be thinking? Do you think he's hungry? Is he going to eat that mushroom?" And try and bring the conversations out in the kids. Well, the parents may not know how to do that if nobody ever did that for them. So the best way to have them engaged in that is have them come in and do it with our teachers. It builds a relationship with their own child, it builds a relationship with the teacher, and it teaches them how to do things that maybe they didn't otherwise know how to do. And then the third thing that we do at the Child Center is really to focus on early learning as a whole in our community. How can we be a resource to other early learning centers? How can we work with the Early Learning Coalition and the Children's Trust and Head Start and all of the other agencies that serve young children, and try and improve the entire landscape of early learning? We don't want to just help the 53 kids at the Child Center. We want to see if we can build better systems for all of our kids. So that's an important part of what we do. And the way that the Child Center works, it's very complicated. We have multiple partners. One of the most important partners is our friends at the Anita Zucker Center. So UF has the Anita Zucker Center for Excellence in Early Childhood Studies. It's the longest title ever. They may not like the way I describe it, but I would call it like the research and development people of early childhood. And so they learn all of the best, greatest practices about how to engage young children and what educational practices work and how to make a bigger difference in the time you have with these kids. And they help us put together policies that will transform these kids' ability to learn and their executive function and all of the things that are going to make them successful. And then we have O2B Kids as our operating partner. They help us with the staff and the HR and the accounting and all the bells and whistles of how we make things work. And then we work with Head Start and the Early Learning Coalition to make sure that the kids have funding that comes in with them so that we can be sustainable. So it is an amazing and great partnership. So I talked so long that the slides went away. How do I make them come back? Hello? Like, when the light goes out on a motion sensor thing, if you wave your arms, maybe it'll work. How do I make it come back on? There we go. See, this is way better. Pictures are way better than me just talking by myself. So we have put together some slides for you. I think that I can talk and talk and talk and talk. And the real way that you're really going to understand what we do at the Child Center, if you're not physically there, and at the Resource Center and at the clinic, is to see pictures. So I know you focus a lot on education, and so we put together some slides about education. So in the little guy with the hat, we have community gardens at both the Resource Center and at the Child Center. And we work with Working Food to provide a weekly gardening class. And there's so many things you can learn in a garden. You can learn about nutrition, you can learn about math, you can learn about team building, you can learn about measuring, you can learn about the environment and sustainability. And so, you know, if you try and teach these kids that in a vacuum, they could care less. But if they're going to eat a carrot that they grew, it's going to be the best carrot they've ever had. And so if you look on our Facebook page, you will find that there's the pictures. We did a sweet potato harvest like a week ago, and there are sweet potatoes, I swear, as big as their heads, and they ate all of them. So you can see some of our feasts that were on from our garden. I've got 10 minutes left. All right, perfect. I told him to give me the flag when I was talking too long. One of the other things we do, both at the for our after-school kids and for the families at the Resource Center, we try and take them on field trips, and we try and bring programming into them. A lot of our kids are never exposed to the same things that my kids were exposed to, because I used to schlep my kids all over Alachua County for them to get experiences. Well, if you don't have time or money to schlep your kids around, it's hard to do that. So every year in our summer program, we take them on field trips. We take them to performances at the Horn. We take them to the botanical gardens. We take them all over Alachua County to the extent we can so that they can see some of these things. We also bring programs into the Resource Center and to the Child Center. Yesterday, we had Brad, who may be around here somewhere, the CEO of the CADE, in with us because every Monday we have a STEM class with the CADE. And so yesterday we were learning about mushrooms and root systems. And so all the kids and poor Brad had to stand and be trees. And we wrapped strings all around them to understand how the roots worked and where the mushrooms would grow. And so we really try and make learning experiential. We create leaders through programs that exist all around Alachua County, things like Girl Scouts and a number of other programs that we bring in to help our kids learn how to be leaders. We work with several mentoring programs. There's a new nonprofit that the guy that leads it happens to live in the SWAG neighborhood called Strong Minded Mentoring. And we've had multiple programs of teenage boys. The first program we had, we were shocked. We had almost 20 teenage boys show up on a Saturday and spend 6 hours with us. 6 hours. 6 hours is a long time. 6 hours with us talking about how to build your image. And we had different experts come in. We had football coaches and graphic designers and talk about the way that you present yourself to the world. We have lots of those type of opportunities. We know that one of the most important things that we can do for kids is to give them a mentor. And then it can either be like, I'm your mentor and I meet with you every week, or it can be just a strong adult presence that can tell them, hey, you're a great kid and you can do great things. One of our most fun programs, and it's not really just fun for the kids, we get a little starstruck too sometimes depending on who comes. Florida Victorious has athletes, UF football players and UF basketball players and UF gymnastics, and all the different UF athletes will come in and do programs with our kids and work with our kids. And no matter how cool I think I am, the kids could care less about me when a football player walks in the room and it's somebody they know by name and they are just drawn to that person. And to have them talk to the kids about what it takes to be successful goes so much further than anything I could ever do. So that's kind of a snapshot. I could talk about SWAG and the Child Center for 5 days. I know you don't want me to. That is kind of the overview of what we do. So how can you help us? One thing that we always need is people to commit to be an after-school volunteer. We have after-school programming every afternoon, Monday through Thursday, all throughout the school year. It's a big commitment. We don't want people to just drop in and drop out. But if you think you might be able to commit one afternoon a week to come be one of our after-school providers, we have an after-school enrichment coordinator who is a former teacher. She was the teacher of the year before she came to work with us, who will tell you everything you need to do. She will give you the lesson plan. She will manage the discipline. She will do all the stuff. She just needs people to help work with the kids one-on-one. So we always need volunteers for stuff like that. We need volunteers to help with our clothing closet. We get a bazillion donations in, and we have to sort them and organize them and make sure they're in good shape. We need folks to help with our answering our phones and checking patrons in. There's tons of volunteer opportunities at the Resource Center. We can always use your help with any of those. If you're interested, you have little handouts on your name. It's got my email on there, like 10 different places. You're more than welcome to reach out to me. We would love to have you. It also has QR codes that you can get to both of our websites, and there's a little contact me button on that, which you can then click on. And it'll send me an email too. It all goes to me. All the contacts go to me. So ultimately, just track me down. Other ways that you can help us, we always need financial support. I know that's not something people really love to talk about, but it's how we pay the bills. We participate in the Gators Give, the UF campaign for charities every year. We participate in the Amazing Give every year, and the Child Center has a fundraising lunch every year. The next one is coming up on February 7th. It's really fun. I don't talk nearly as much as I'm talking today, but there's lots of videos of cute things that the kids do that you would find much more interesting than me. We would love it if you are interested in coming. All you need to do is reach out to me if you're interested in that. I suspect that Marcia, where's Marcia? Is she still here? Where? Oh, right here in the front. Marcia is always a table captain. If you want to come, I'm sure she would love to have people fill up her tables. Paula is always involved. If you don't know me or her, you can find Paula. Greg was a table captain last year, I think. We might be able to recruit him again. Any of us that have been involved, we would love for you to come, so just let one of us know and we'll find you a seat at that table. The other thing you can do is just help people know more about us. Spread the word. If you think of organizations we can partner with or opportunities, let us know. There's also something, you guys are the first group that I'm sharing this with. This is very exciting. This just happened on, what day was I supposed to come to your house, Nancy? Was it Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday of last week, and I was sick and I felt like garbage, and I was supposed to do 10 things and I canceled all of my things, and then I got this phone call and found out about this last Wednesday. One of the things that's the hardest for the Child Center is that we all of our funding comes through federal funding and state funding, and it's very unreliable, and we have to apply for it every year, and we never know if we're going to get it. So we as a board have made a decision that we wanted to embark upon a campaign to grow our endowment. And as of last Wednesday, I am super happy to announce that we just received a $1 million matching grant to grow our endowment for the Child Center. That's the first time I've said this publicly, so I'm still really, really excited. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. Like, almost dropped the phone kind of a big deal when the person told me. So we're very excited. So now it's like the excitement wears off, and I'm like, oh, wait, they said matching. That means I got to raise $1 million. That's not my favorite part. So if you turn the little pieces of paper that are on your tables over to the back, there is a QR code. That is the beginning of our endowment fund. So I am going to be hitting up donors big and small. I'm trying to get some big donations up front to start the process. I've been very busy this week. I have about $160,000 that I raised this week. I've talked to a lot of people. My friend Paula in the back said I could say this. So Paula told me, I think it was a couple days ago, I can't remember what day it was, that she was willing to commit $10,000, and she wanted me to say that at Rotary and challenge all of you. I know you can't all do 10,000, but she wants you to all do $10,000. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you could give $100. Maybe you could give $10 million. I don't know. But we are going to be really actively fundraising between now and spring to try and meet this $1 million match. So if any of you are interested, you know where to find me. If you know somebody else that you're afraid to ask, but you want me to ask, I won't tell them who sent me. But if there's anybody you can connect me to, it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so we're very excited. So I probably went too long, but that was worth sharing. I think I'm supposed to ask if you guys have questions. Are there things that I missed? Does it make sense? Was it boring? I don't know. What do you guys want to know? No questions? All right, thank you.
Dorothy, thank you so much. It really exciting and heartwarming, honestly, to know how much you care for the community and how you're taking care of the Southwest community. It is with great pleasure that we are making a donation in your name to the Child Center for Early Learning. And at the end of the year, it'll be a small contribution, but on your way to matching the $1 million grant. So
but it's double now. So there you go. So whatever it was, we have twice as much now. So.
All right. Next week, we have our holiday party. So, put your bells on. Looking forward to seeing everybody. The Rotary Reading Safari number is 808. 808. Bill? And we'll pick up the votes. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.